it first. And Steve, did you decide if you're gonna head this up then, or what?
I'm gonna listen.
You're gonna
and
listen.
get some feedback and see how it goes.
Okay,
Speak as loud as you can,
there's a
okay?
national protest going on, an anti-Obama protest going on Inauguration Day, and we would like to have one on the Strip to coincide with that same national one. What is the general feeling of the members here tonight as far as doing that? Because if Steve gets involved in it, Steve is very, very efficient on his anti-Obama campaign. In fact, I probably think he would shoot him if he knew he could get away with it. But we need to know if he's going to have the people behind him so we can organize this. I've got a couple other kids that are interested in joining us. So if any of you, and I thought Glenn would be here so he could tell us if the Panda group would be interested. But we need to get a big showing for it because I'm going to get TV coverage. I don't want to get TV coverage if we got 15 people on the Strip.
Well, I was reading somewhere about there's going to be a protest in Washington, D.C., and then they're trying to coordinate that with around the United States.
That's
and I don't know
that's
where
an
they
impeach Obama protest.
well, it was at the inauguration.
Okay,
It's going to be at the inauguration.
Okay.
And I thought they were like talking about going to in your local areas to the courthouse or something, to your federal building. I don't know.
Well, we can do that. That's why we're discussing it tonight to see what location we want. But I think, Steve, what do you think? You think the courthouse is better than a march down the Strip?
Well, I think the bottom line boils down to is how many people we get part. Sure.
So people don't have to turn around and get a crink in their neck. Thanks.
My name's Steve Commander.
Hey.
Jim, everybody. As AJ was saying, I was involved in a lot of things with the Defeat Obama. We had a big billboard that was put up down on Desert Inn. We paid almost $4,000 for that. It was an 18-foot by 48-foot billboard. I don't know if some of you have seen it or not. We had the flyers and the bumper stickers that we had at a meeting here once. We had 10,000 flyers we put out all over Las Vegas. Obviously, didn't necessarily work, but you can never give up. The bottom line with this...
How would you know?
Well, we lost.
But
Still,
No, you were
Obama won.
declared the loser. I'm not convinced
maybe
you lost.
you didn't lose by as big of a margin.
That's very possible.
You were declared the loser.
We still got to wait for the electoral college, right?
Well,
In any case, what AJ is talking about right now is a rally, an anti-Obama rally. Wherever it might be or however it's going to be is all predicated on the fact of how many people are going to participate. I agree with AJ, 15 people is not significant. And Jim is talking about people getting together and working together. Well, I have found, I was the original founder, as Jim knows, the Las Vegas Valley Tea Party and its first president. This year, people just didn't work together, in my opinion. You didn't see a whole bunch of tea parties or a lot of other groups, and that's okay. But we got to get people working together, in my opinion, to really put up a front that's going to say, hey, we the people really are concerned about what's going on and we want to do something about it. We the people cannot be 10, 15 people because they just laugh at you and realize it's not we the people, you're nothing. So in order to do anything successfully, people got to do, in my opinion, I'll talk New Yorkese now, people got to do more than just talk about it. You got to do more than throw your shoe at the TV when you don't like what you hear. You got to get off your butt, you got to get up, you got to do something. And in doing something, it means somebody may be interested in doing what their forte is, and somebody else might be interested in something else. But we're all pieces of the puzzle. And we take all those pieces together, we make success happen. But talking about it gets nothing accomplished without action. That's what I'm into, as with AJ and some of you, or all of you. But we got to do something. Now, it's Inauguration Day that we're talking about, so it's not that far down the road. Wherever it might be.
What day is that?
It's 23rd of January, 22nd of January, somewhere around there.
I'm not sure. Yeah,
We're between the 20th and the 22nd, I think. I was thinking the 20th.
Isn't it the 21st?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, anyway.
Somewhere in the 20s of January. But it boils down to is who's going to participate, who they know that's not here that may be interested in participating, what time, where, and everything else. I suggest to people, and I use that word suggestion, if you're going to do your hair that day or do your nails or take your dog for a pedicure, put it for a different day.
Well, you might want people to do their hair.
This is something, it's going to be a one-shot deal. And again, all over the country's talking about doing it. I don't know what they're going to do, and I don't care what they're going to do. I only care what we can control and what we can do.
How many
That's the only
people
thing.
would be necessary to be significant?
How many do you think?
I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
Hundreds.
Well, I mean, more the merrier. But I mean, realistically, can we get 100 people? I mean, can we?
How many people do you know?
Not very many.
We all know people. We all know a doctor, a lawyer, a neighbor, a friend.
Most everybody I
people we
know
work
is in the
with.
room.
Okay. Very secluded life.
Yeah, I know. I live under a rock.
If we have enough of a passion, and I'm not saying we do or we don't, I feel I do, and I can only control me. We can find a way. Where there's a will, there's a way of getting something done. If we want to just talk about it, that's fine and dandy. I don't want us to talk about things. And AJ knows that we communicate an awful lot. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't, but we do have a passion to get things done. So we all know somebody, and if they find a passion in us, they may want to do something too, because most people are waiting for somebody
Else to do
to
it.
get to them.
Yeah.
They want to do things. They don't know how, they don't know where, they don't know when. Tell them, this is going to happen at this time in this place. Get in the car, we'll drive down together.
And the goal will be to express our discontent or
Yes.
to
That's what
impeach.
my question. What's the purpose
Yeah,
of the
what's
march?
the outcome intended to be?
Yeah, like why are we getting these people to do it?
Get our message across that we're mad as hell.
About
Are we going to
And
give a
then,
hand
Specifically-
then they'll be having it. They'll follow up with.
How do you see this unfolding?
I see the first thing is we need people. We can make up flyers, we can have banners, billboards, posters, whatever it might be. But without the army, the bullets are meaningless.
right, and without the goal, it's harder to get. It's
Right.
easier to get people with
This
the goal.
is an anti-Obama rally.
Okay.
Just like our anti-Obama march that we had. And then, do you know offhand, Steve, when they're going to have that impeach Obama march in Washington? That's coming up like 2 months later. So this is all a prelude to building
We know
up
that's not going to happen.
crescendo. Why, you don't think it is?
Well, the Senate's going to put it down.
I know, but the people are, they're talking tens of thousands of people at that one.
I would love to see it. I would
In
love
fact-
to see
in
what they had in
fact-
2010 when Beck was there.
In fact, the Las Vegas Valley Tea Party is going to be working on getting special rates in D.C. for that impeach Obama thing, so anybody
Terrific.
that wants to go can ride the bus.
The
And
Million Impeachers March.
yeah,
I mean,
so
it's-
this is just a prelude to that.
If I could contribute, I mean, something like that kind of sounds like you could rally people behind it.
Yeah.
But if you just go to march that you don't like Obama, that comes across as being a sore loser. I mean, to the general public.
I don't care
but-
what the general
It-
public.
it
Well,
comes
we're
across.
trying to affect the general public, aren't we? Isn't that the intent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what I'm talking about. is-
Adrian?
We have
that's
to
why we-
encourage them to evaluate the facts.
Right.
Understand,
Not the
Obama
media
got 50.6%. This was no landslide.
Right.
This was nothing in regards to it. Matter of fact, he received over 7 million
Right.
less votes than he received in 2008.
What were you gonna say?
Major?
Well, I think it's along the lines of what some other people have been saying, that if we had a specific thing to focus on, I mean, there are
Right.
plenty of things to despise about Obama, but if there was a specific thing that we're pushing
Right.
with our signage and our message,
Right.
if any media talk to us, let's say the NDAA or his drone attacks on innocent
Yeah,
people.
I think those would be significant.
Well, I guess those could.
I think that would
Each
help.
flyer,
Yeah.
each banner, each poster can say whatever it wants. It doesn't have to be all one particular thing. What do you think is relevant?
Yeah.
Well,
So then you're saying we would sell this as, are you unhappy with the direction and the election? Is that what
Well,
we're
I
saying?
think there's more than one thing we're unhappy with.
Right. So I'm saying if you're
So-
unhappy with it, then come down and voice whatever you're unhappy about. Is that what we're saying?
That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Okay.
Whatever your unhappiness is with him, the drones, the taxes, whatever it might be, you do your thing. We have enough people doing our own thing. It's not just a message. It's a conglomeration of messages that we're totally unhappy with.
okay, well,
It's a coming together of the various groups that are unhappy with
Right,
Obama.
absolutely.
And the problem is, you know, this is not a bad idea, because the way you're proposing this, because the Democrats, well, you know, we disagree, you and I, but it doesn't mean I don't respect you, because I do. But the thing is that you can't find a group of Democrats that will do this.
No, you
All the
can't.
different groups, there's only one.
Yeah.
There's only one group of Democrats. That's the Democrats. But the Republicans, there's a whole bunch of different groups that we can reach out and get to.
And yet, your point is well taken. The Democrats, if they had to do something tomorrow, they'd have a group already.
Yeah, but they pay them.
That's true.
Right, and
He's writing out checks.
they pay them,
That's not a
and
bad
But-
idea.
but-
union buses
But
them
there's
there.
another point that he made that's very true too. We've got a whole bunch of groups that don't talk to each other. They don't work together.
Yeah.
They don't
So
do
right.
things together.
Really
That's
pissed
been
me
the,
off.
that's
I mean,
been the
I've gone to
theme of
many,
what we've
many
been
groups,
talking
men's
about
groups,
for
women's
like a
groups,
month.
tea partiers. They all want their own kingdoms and their own fiefdoms. It doesn't work, and they won't understand that.
Yeah. It's the
So
whole-
we start with a seed tonight, if we so desire. We go out there and we let people know about it.
So the consensus is then that some of us are thinking we need to have something specific to rally behind, and the rest of us are seeing it differently. Is that what we're? Is that the issue we have, or we have no issue?
I think the
Okay.
answer is whatever is important to you, whatever is important to you, whatever is important to you. It's more than one thing we're concerned about. I don't want anybody to talk about what I'm interested in. Talk about what you're interested in. Bring a placket, bring whatever you want to do. The thing that I'm going to talk about, that again, people don't like when I just talk candidly about it. You can have an issue, you can talk about it, you can say it, and then you don't show up. It's meaningless unless you're there. Okay, we've gone to a lot of these things, and some of you have gone to also. I don't care how many show up. Yeah, we want hundreds. But all you can do is can control you and what you do and where you are and when you're at. We try and motivate and get other people involved and interested. And if we excite them enough and hit their hot button, somebody may come down. But those people know people we don't know, and they may be able to multiply exponentially the number of people by everybody knows somebody else.
All right, here's a potential issue that I could see. If we make it kind of an open, whatever you're disgruntled about, show up. What if we get people that show up that say say things that are truly obscene or that really are not something that we would agree with,
mean
and
Democrats?
we wouldn't. Well, generally, but like things that we just wouldn't agree with. I mean,
You're always going to get a few of those that
well,
try
I'm just
to
saying, like, someone that
infiltrate
has like an issue that maybe the group doesn't agree with, or I don't agree with, and I don't want to be associated with them or
It's called
something.
free speech.
Yeah, I
Until
understand
that
that.
disappears.
I'm just saying, at least I'm fine with that. I have no problem with someone's free speech, but maybe I don't want to be a part of a group that would be seen that way.
As a reptoid.
Yeah, right? I don't know. That would be a good one. I'm just saying
See
it's
the
a
double eyelid?
potential issue. That's all I was saying.
Some of the stuff that may or may not be provable, may or may not be true, but it's so far out there that it makes us look like a bunch of crazies.
Yeah, but
Right.
you're not going to get that many in our group that
No,
are going to
you
be
won't.
like
Well, no,
that.
but if we only have our group, then we don't have a protest.
No, I'm saying
Yeah.
in the group that all of us get in, we aren't. You're not going. Your odds are you might get 5 or 10 people that are thinking along those lines, and we can.
How
shut
big
them
is
up
their
in a hurry.
sign?
You can hit them over the head with your megaphone.
But free speech.
Here's my suggestion. I go to different meetings, and some of you may go to different meetings. Women's clubs, men's clubs, organizations, whatever it might be. Ask the president if you can say a couple of words at the meeting. Make them aware of what we'd like to do, if they'd like to participate. Okay, if they may not, if you talk to their audience, okay, some of them may participate. You bring with them a sign-up sheet, you get their name, email address, phone numbers, you contact them, you tell them the date, you tell them the time, you kind of coordinate everything. You become a leader in regards to part of this whole project. Again, we can talk about doing things, we can actually do things. Okay? I have no problem speaking to people, and some people might. But if you don't have enough belief in what you're doing, you'll never talk to anybody. Okay, so if you really want to participate, yes ma'am. It's Meter?
Mitra.
Mitra.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, would it be okay, let's say theoretically, if I could get together my own mini group?
Absolutely.
Okay, just to focus on one theme and go along with the rest of the group, that would be fine?
Absolutely.
Okay.
How did they generate all the giant crowd in Searchlight at the Tea Party rally, some years
I don't know,
back?
my parents
That was
actually went to that.
2010 with Sharon Wren, yeah.
That's right. How did that generate?
People work together. How did we have over 1 million in DC in 2010? People work together. Now they don't. I mean, I figured this would be a great year to work together. We want to get rid of this guy, and silence was golden this year, in my opinion. Okay? So again, we can't worry about what people did or didn't do. What are we going to do? Okay? Again, throwing shoes at the TV and yelling at your spouse or having an argument with your neighbor doesn't get it done. What do you guys do? What do you guys think? What's your thoughts on what to do and how to do it?
Well, I think there's enough issues that people are not going to be hurting for things that they hate about Obama.
No, it would just be a matter of
Sure.
collecting the people to go.
Yeah.
So
it's more or less getting bodies on in a committed
We all
place at
know
a certain
groups,
time.
you know, we can get the Panda group. I just thought of 2 groups here that I can contact.
Yeah, but I think that
That's
he's
without
right. We
even
have to put a
thinking.
real effort into like getting people kind of sort of, you know, not just like, hey, come down to this. We really
Oh,
have
no,
to get
we've
them.
gotta-
We got to pound it over and
You hit
over
the
again.
nail on the head. You get him, put him in the car, and you drive him down there.
Right.
Okay, that's the way they're going to go. Outside of that, they're going to get lost because they're going to make a right turn in Connecticut, not where we're at.
Let's see if we can get
That's what
the
people
unions
do.
to get the buses to, you know, drive them down there.
Sir,
If you decide to take on this project, I heard last Friday a gentleman named Kevin Wall on
Yes.
840.
Mhm.
And yesterday he was talking about District 9, where the gentleman who the judge said wasn't a resident won the election,
Right.
and now it looks like the Democrats are going to seat him. He strikes me, I haven't heard his show that often, but I do know on Friday afternoon, I believe at 5 o'clock, he has an hour of totally open line. You can say whatever you want. So if
he's
you
a
decide-
conservative. I've listened to his show many times.
What are the call letters for that?
840 KXNT.
Right.
KMT?
He's on
KXNT.
Hey,
It's
he's on from
He's on
3
FM
to
too,
5
so.
or 3
Yeah,
to
he's
6,
on
something like
drive
that.
time. But
3 to
has
6.
that
He's on
open
FM
hour.
100.5 as well.
I've never
You know.
listened.
And I know he has.
Well, what's people's
pretty-
ideas on what you think you can do, or what we can do if we're going to work together on this? You know, all the brain power's not up front; it's all over the place.
Well, you know, I mean, we could spread the word all day long. You know, if we have, you know, we could even run a freaking commercial on, you know, AM radio if we had the money for it. You know, so I mean, there's lots of options. I mean,
Well, I know Alan Stock pretty well. I'll get a hold of him and see if he'd be willing to.
I think the newspaper.
Proof negative will run
I
ads all day long
would be
for
willing
us,
to bet
free.
Alan
Yeah.
have you on for 10 or 15
Don't they
minutes
have
at least.
community service things in the newspapers, free advertising,
Yeah.
community service
yeah,
things?
but how do you get part of that? Like, how do you get considered? You know, they don't make that available to everybody, do they?
Well, and part of the problem with that is that you have to do it way in advance, and I think we're probably behind the gate on that. Because every time I've tried to put anything in the upcoming calendar community, anything, it's like 3 months in advance that they want you
Yeah.
to submit that
Now
stuff.
we could get some stuff printed out and we could post it different places, but you know, that's another expense
We
potentially.
got another. The library is a damn good place to hand things out.
Well, handing them out, that's fine. But I'm just saying it's another expense to get the stuff together.
Yeah.
So otherwise, we'd have to just do what networking would be the only real free option that we'd have,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So
We can talk to everybody you're on a line in a Smith's or whatever it might be. Give them a flyer. Talk to them. Again, it's how comfortable you are about what has to get done to make people aware of it. Again, everybody wants to do something. Okay, if you talk to somebody, they'll talk to you, but they won't talk to you first. That's the way people are.
Yeah, you have
Okay,
to start it.
you got to start it, and I talk to everybody. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes that's bad. But people will communicate with you. People will listen. People have the same passions you do. But again, they don't know what to do, how to do, where to do, or anything
we're
else.
talking what, the Strip? Is that what we're talking?
Any place.
Any place?
You got a shopping center here, across the street. You got cars parked there all the time.
Well, Bob here goes to the federal courthouse a lot of afternoons. People are used to have.
Well, you
seeing
can always
somebody
do the
walk in-
courthouse. That's always considered.
Walk in front of the federal
Yeah.
courthouse. That's
AJ knows I had 10,000 flyers, anti-Obama flyers. We went to Walmart's, we went to Vaughn's, we went to Smith's, we went every shopping mall there was around here, up by the Valley View. Just gave them out, put them on car windshields. Okay, does it do anything? It's better than doing nothing. Asking a person is better than doing nothing.
See, that usually I don't like to do things on the Strip because it's a tourist conglomeration, but they're from all over the country, so they have the same problems and the same issues that we do.
How would we do it?
Well, what we always did with Ron Paul, we had flyers. That
No, I mean, but like,
handed
how
out
would
as
we logistically do a protest on the Strip? Like, how would we?
March. As long as you're moving, you can do whatever you want to do.
Okay.
We started out at the Las Vegas sign, and we went up as far as past the Bellagio. We went about 2 miles up and then turned around and came back. We handed out a ton of flyers.
How many people?
Huh?
How many people?
We had a couple hundred
Okay.
of the Ron Paul people, and that was a last minute thing, and that was in the middle of January
Well, that's who
when
we
we
need
were
to.
freezing our butts off.
That's who we need to get with too for this. Is the
Yeah.
Ron Paul group.
We can find reasons for doing things, we can find reasons not for doing it.
Cindy's too
Okay,
big
it's
for those.
easy not to do anything. It's tough to do something. but sometimes you got to be tough about things. I mean, it depends on how important you think America is, the Constitution is. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I've got kids and grandkids. They're going to inherit what we do or not do. So what are you going to do? Do you want to tell your kids and your grandkids, well, I sold you into slavery because I decided not to march?
Yeah.
Does anyone have any objections at this point?
I don't have any objections. It just thinks, it's just like whatever your cause is, just march. It's kind of, it just doesn't
We're going to be
seem.
handing out flyers.
If
Right.
we, if
What are
there's-
flyers going to say? We don't like Obama?
Yeah, what are the
Yeah,
questions?
if
You
there's,
could
yeah.
put 15 things.
Yeah, but
and
well, you
say
make
he
it-
has a personal kill list.
Right.
He wants to institute ICLEI and a couple of, Agenda
Right.
21 and the NDAA. We've got Obamacare around the corner. We've got 1,000 things we could march for.
What would you specifically say?
It's not going to be a single
TSA.
issue
I
thing.
mean,
The list is endless.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you have people marching, you want to get the press and publicity out there. The first thing you're going to say is, why are you marching? Well, we don't like Obama. I don't like Obama because of this. I don't like Obama
We
because
don't
of
need
this.
to say- we don't need
It's
to
kind of
say I
hard
don't
to
like
see
Obama.
that you got kind of a.
I disagree.
I
Yeah,
disagree
if they
too,
ask
because
three
I
different
think-
people
Right.
and they get three different answers,
Right.
that's good. That's good. I'm here because I don't like Obamacare.
And
He's here for a different reason. He's here for a different
Right.
reason. But the bottom line is, no one is satisfied with having Barack Obama as the President of the United States of America.
Just understand the media will pick and choose what they want to print anyhow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
whatever your issue is, be cognizant of what you're trying to say and have some backup facts in case they push you a little further than I don't like NDAA. Well, what is that and why don't you like it?
I'm
Why is
normally
it a problem
inclined
for you?
to agree with you, but I think that I see what you guys are saying.
The first
normally
issue,
I
It's a bigger
agree, yeah.
umbrella, and it's going to affect more people that see the newscast than if we just stick to one thing that
Right.
might not affect them.
the first issue the news media is going to look at is how many people are there. That's the first
it.
issue.
You're absolutely right.
All right.
Because no matter what you got, they're going to downplay it.
Right.
Yeah, and the
I mean,
paper
and that
wants
we could have that as a
about
cause.
100
Just
people.
simply, we don't like Obama.
Well,
we don't
yeah.
like his policies.
That is
That's what we're all
essentially the
marching.
umbrella, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the umbrella.
Yeah.
We don't like Obama's policies. We can go on and on and on.
Yeah, and then each
And
person
that's what
that
I
gets
mean.
talked
You need,
to has a different
Right.
perspective and a different thing that's pissing them
Right.
off. So
All right, so
I think the whole thing of we're selling our children into slavery is a fantastic
so
commentary.
That's it.
any other thoughts on this, or should we move on to the next one?
Well, the first question boils down to, you want to do something or not? Rather than
Yes.
moving on to something, we got to make a decision.
Okay,
We want
let's
to do
vote
something
yes
or
or
not.
no.
We
Yes,
want
all
to-
those in favor?
I think that we're all. I mean,
I think we're all.
You're not in favor?
I'm just here.
Jim's just here.
You've got a big contact list. You can give it to me. I'll do the work. So
What
raise
I-
your hand.
What
Or I
I
won't let you out of the, I won't let you out of the store.
what I'd like to
Democracy at work.
understand is if there's a national thing happening, which
There
I
is.
thought there was,
There is.
There
and we
is.
should tie into the national
How?
idea.
How?
You know.
What they're asking is that all major cities do the same thing that they're doing.
I'm sure they'll have a website.
Yeah.
The idea is simple. It's an anti-Obama rally.
Gotcha, but if people think that they're working with a national group or a national thing, it's going to be more impressive to them than
I
if they're
agree.
working with
That
Let's
was
a
when
figure
you
out
tell
what the
local group in
national
Las
thing
Vegas.
is.
We
See
go
if there's a
online, we get the
website.
national thing, we tell people, we're going to work
That's
with the
right.
national thing. We're going to work by ourselves. Let's be candid about it. They don't know us and we don't know them.
Yeah.
But the
But we're taking the
appearance is-
same philosophy.
Yes.
When you're aligned with a
Same
national
philosophy.
group, it carries
Right.
more weight.
Yep.
Exactly.
so I'm thinking that everybody's in agreement with it. We just got to work out the logistics. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Work
And
out
the
details.
logistics is something that we can do.
We won't
Yeah, well,
have
we-
a physical hands-on meeting till after the first of the year, so you guys are going to have to be available by email and phone and whatever.
Well, I would suggest you have a special meeting for the people who want to do it within the next week. Because time's wasted. We only have a month.
Well, that's us.
Yeah.
That's the special
But it's
meeting.
us, basically, and contacts we may know. I mean, some of us do know people. Do they want to talk to the people or not? That's up to you. But again, look at the big picture. If we do nothing as a core group, this is where we're going to be with our kids and our grandkids. Okay? I'm not going to accept that. Okay? I'm going to do as much as I can about it. Okay? I can't make you one not. That's your decision. But I tell you straight out, you got to get off your butt and do something. And you got to get people involved that you know. And you got to be excited about it and you can do something. If you don't want it, that's okay. We won't do anything. Right?
Right.
I gotta look at my calendar. First I gotta find it. I think I used this stuff. Okay, so we are going to look at January. What I'm thinking is between now and the first Thursday of January, we can all get our groups and our people lined up, report back here the first week in January, and if we decide then that we've got enough people that are, each one of us has got a nucleus that we can make this work, that still gives us time to do it.
That's fine. Here's what I would suggest: that
People are
let
just-
you be
people are so
a
busy.
conduit. Everybody, you maybe send out emails to everybody and let them send back to you. Yes, I want to do it. No, I don't want to do it.
Right.
I know somebody who wants to do it. So we have one central location that we know how many people are willing to participate.
Right.
If we can send something out to other groups, other tea parties, other organizations, women's clubs, men's clubs, whatever it might be, if we can speak there, not speak there, know people there, let them know about it, let them talk about it. Let as many people know as possible so you get as many responses as possible. But if it's okay with AJ, let's work with, AJ sending something out to everybody, everybody sending something back to her, letting know what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, how many people we're going to have, what sign you want, whatever it might be, okay? I'll probably have a sign up, anti-Obama's against prostate cancer. I don't know. That's a guy thing, right?
Okay, so January 3rd is the first Thursday in January.
It would be really cool if we could have someone spearhead this, and I know you've already got your plate full.
That's it. But he wants to know we're not going to have 15 people show up. Otherwise, he won't. With 15 people, there's no sense in him working it or me.
Right, but if we had someone who could actually go around to the other groups and be hands-on with them and communicate with them,
You don't have to have one person to do that. Anybody can do that. Do you belong to any other
You
groups?
know more different groups than he does, or than I do. We all contact our own group
No, I understand, but I'm just saying,
and get back to me with that group.
I was just saying organization of it and having a person that can dedicate their time to it would be useful, that's all.
Let me answer your question for you, okay? If we decide to do this, and if I'm the person
I think we decided.
and if I'm the person that's going to coordinate it, I'm going to come to you and say, this is your responsibility, that's your responsibility, that's your responsibility. One person doesn't do it.
No,
You
you're right.
can't get anything done with one person. So each person, be prepared if we're going to do it. Each person's going to have a responsibility to do something. And then we're going to say, okay, within X number of days, get back to us and let you know where you stand. We have to work together as a team. It cannot work any other way. Talk is bullshit.
Yep.
Sorry about that, folks who don't like that.
That's okay. Sometimes the truth hurts.
I know it. I speak it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, well, stop swearing, damn it.
Any questions? I mean, I'll let you guys handle it in regards to the number of people, whatever it might be. But, I'd be willing to work with people. I've done it in the past. Jim knows I've done this in the past.
Probably the place to announce this would be at the Republican Party meeting, which happens in January.
Yeah, that's why I wish Glenn was here, because I want him to
What
post
date is that?
everything.
It happens like on the second.
Kind of late. Kind
Yeah,
of
that
late.
pushes it
Kinda
too
late.
close.
Well, I don't know. I mean, when it comes to a protest, it's like if you tell me 3 days in advance, I'll probably show up. If you tell me
They
a
have
month in
an
advance, I
email
probably won't be there. I'll
organizer.
forget.
I've got him. I can send emails, but
Because you'll definitely get volunteers.
When is the next meeting, Robert?
Next
When's the next
CCRP.
whoever decides what.
CCRP.
When is Cindy's next
They
meeting?
send an email to the.
I don't know.
I
A
think
week
it's
or
the
so.
third Wednesday
Today is the 6th. It's got to be
in January.
before the
The
20th.
third Wednesday?
See, that's not too late.
I think
We can go.
He was
What?
saying January. He said the next one was January.
No, there's one.
Well,
there's
they'll
one
have
probably
an
not.
they'll
because they
have
had
an
one in
e-board
November.
meeting.
Oh,
They'll
it's
have an
a month.
e-board meeting.
Yeah, it's every
Yeah.
other month.
All we have to do is
Posted on the
contact Cindy
DOT
Lake
Yeah.
and say we want
So it would
one
be
of our
really
people
close to this thing, so
to go
people
give us 5 minutes
could fire it up.
at the CCRP meeting. She'll do it for this.
They have an address book, email address book. Send it out to all the people. Send out to all the people what
I
we want to do the day
I
we
got
want to do
some
it.
Their
email.
e-board
Cindy
meeting
Lake-
will be
Cindy Lake
probably
says,
next
yeah,
week.
somebody can talk about this. You're going to come go with us.
Well,
and
again,
talk.
we can do that. But again, my feeling is if that's going to be sometime in January,
No, it's not.
No,
we're
no, no,
talking
it's this
about
month.
Next week.
Next week.
For the e-board
Yeah.
meeting.
For the e-board.
or the e-board.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you're going to have 20, 25 people there.
But they all know.
But they all know
They
people.
know.
I understand it. My question is,
What's-
does the CCRP have an email address book that they send out to people?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
So that's all you got to do.
So somebody on the e-board
If they
probably
can,
knows
Cindy-
where
they
that
can
list
approve to do
is.
that,
Cindy
then
delegates
you can
somebody to
contact
send
everybody.
that blast out an email.
But-
That's what you got to do. Can we go down there and talk? Sure. But you're going to blast out an email to hundreds, thousands,
Yeah,
I don't know
but
how many people on
that
an email.
person that has that email list probably
There's-
will be at that e-board meeting.
Okay,
That's
wait a
fine.
minute. There's the bi-monthly meeting this month of the CCRP at the Silverton Hotel.
This
Okay,
month or
that-
January?
January.
This month.
Not- I don't think
January, are you
Yeah.
sure?
Yeah, January.
I got an invitation to go on the this month in December.
Enjoy yourself. I
No,
Yeah.
I think.
No,
Bob's
November
right.
we had a meeting, so
think there was
Yeah.
one in November.
yeah, it was on November.
There was one in.
Everybody willing to stand up as the original 56 did and pledge your life, liberty, and fortunes?
Yep.
I'm willing to
Well,
die
pledge
for
my
my
fortunes
country.
is easy, 'cause
He
I ain't
knows
got
that 'cause I
none.
said at the meeting. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to protect my kids and my grandkids.
Yep.
Okay? But as a soldier of one, it's not going to happen. Anything else before I...
Hold on, I'm calling Cindy.
Okay.
How come everybody hates Obama?
I don't want to.
Shut up.
Hating somebody, disliking somebody, everything else is meaningless unless you do something about it.
Yep.
We have... Tell you exactly.
Yeah, I guess if it would have
I'm
been
gonna
wrong,
tell you
we could
exactly.
just wait another year and we could have done
We
something.
have...
He seems so nice.
You know when somebody's gonna insult you when they tell you what a nice family is.
59,134,475 people have voted against Obama. 59,134,475. They're not here tonight, but we each know some of them.
Okay, I left her a message to call me, so we'll find out for sure when the meeting is. Okay?
Okay.
You want me to teach you how to do a smiley? Real
Yes!
quick before you're here? Can you talk about something for 5 minutes?
Thank you for your time. I'm sorry about the candidness, but that's who I am, and that's what we have to do.
Could we get a link started on the web page? for
Absolutely not.
latest-
Yep.
Latest updates of this project?
Yep. we'll
This is
put
a
it up.
top secret meeting. Tell everybody.
Is there any other links that I have not posted yet? I know you sent me a bunch of videos that I was like, I love these videos, and I'm like, what am I going to do
Thank
with
you
them?
for your time.
Thank you,
Thank
Sam.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay,
Do we only have 2 agenda items today anyway?
yeah, pretty much.
Awesome.
We've got to put together the campaign coalition for David.
Hey, really quick, did we have any updates on the fluoride thing since
No.
last week?
No updates. No
Okay.
fluoride updates. It's
You know David, right?
yeah, it's a matter of deciding who we're going to target in the legislature, and I have not had 10 minutes to even think about that.
Yeah,
so-
we're working on the lawsuit though, right, too?
Yeah.
Okay. And was it you that was
I sent an email to We Are Change Tampa, and I haven't gotten a
Got nothing
response. I
back.
guess I need to
Who
send
was
it again.
that?
I-
Who was that attorney that we were talking about? Was it someone that wasn't here that was talking about, they were a couple or something, and, I don't know, they did a lot of volunteer work.
The Ron Paul lawsuit people.
Who are they?
I don't remember their names. I have to look.
Were they a couple?
Yeah, they were a couple.
Yeah, that's who it was then, I think. But nobody remembers bringing that up? Okay.
In previous meetings, has anybody talked about targeting the dentist to try to get some dentists on board?
Well, we probably should. The holistic dentists would be the best ones because they already know the dangers rather than trying to convert people that are bought and paid for by the ADA.
Well, I talk to all the dentists that I can talk to about it, and I just basically, the way I approach them is I approach it as I don't understand. I go on the ADA site and they say it's great, but yet they don't show me why it's great other than all the experts agree that it's great.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm approaching the dentist. I'm like, I'm having difficulty because I have a bunch of friends who tell me fluoride's horrible, but I have nothing nothing to defend that it's great. So what is there? I know the ADA says it's great, but they don't give any proof.
No, they don't.
Is there
They can't,
anything?
because they
And then
can't.
you get the dentist to start thinking, and that's I think really one of the most important things is to get the dentist to start thinking. When you talk about the holistic dentists, once you put like a label like that on them, they're holistic dentists, then people start not paying attention to them, unfortunately. But if you can get just standard dentists, some of them, and like I was reading the other day, like a lot of retired dentists and retired dental assistants, and retired like what do you call the ones that clean the teeth, the
Hygienist.
hygienist. A lot of these people have health problems. And a lot of them are starting to realize that it might be because of all these chemicals, and fluoride being one of them, that they've had to deal with in their career.
Yeah.
I know I have a sister who's a dental assistant, and she's had a lot of medical issues throughout her career, and she hasn't put two and two together. I'm kind of slowly working on her.
Good.
Because you have to be careful, because you're talking about somebody's industry. I'm in air conditioning. If someone says something negative about the industry, that I'm doing something wrong, then I take offense to, and that's how basically.
Yeah, you do baby steps. You
Right,
really
exactly.
have to.
Yeah, it's hard to get the emotional
Right.
draw turned
So
off.
I'm going to try to work on dentists if I can.
That's great.
All
I
right.
love that.
Okay. So no more updates on that for now, and we're working on, I don't know who it was that brought up the attorneys, but I'll have to, maybe it was Dirk who's not here, so
Yeah.
possibly,
I can't even remember who said that.
yeah. So then I guess next would be the VanDerBeek's race for governor.
Did you want to say something about the document you wrote?
I can.
Okay.
I can.
Why don't you?
Yeah.
Well,
Introduce yourself.
I'm Andy Zach. I'm a former Army surgeon, and I've become an anesthesiologist since leaving the Army. And I met a girl online when I was living in Temple, Texas. And next thing I know, I'm living in Vegas for 10 years. And
You're native now.
Amazing the way you work.
and very happily married. And so I've been active
Excuse me.
in trying to fight against Obamacare for a long time. And a little bit of what was talked about before reminded me of that, because I was doing my anesthesia, and one of the surgeons said, yeah, the other partner I work with is part of the Million Med March in Washington, and they're staging a big anti-Obamacare rally. This is back in 2009, and we're going to do a mirror image one here in Vegas, and you got to come. You got to take the day off of work. We're going to get all the doctors to take one day off of work, and we're going to shut down medicine in Vegas, except for the bare bones emergency that's needed. And so I reluctantly agreed to go, and there were about 15 people in front of the courthouse protesting against Obamacare. But about a month later, I was one of the main people that organized an anti-Obamacare rally down on the Strip, right in front of Caesar's Palace, and we had about 750 people. Almost all of them were doctors or worked for doctors. So that was a huge success.
I was at that one.
Amazing.
That was huge. That was a huge rally, and a lot of the politicians. Joe Heck basically launched his campaign, and he's turned out to be a big disappointment to me. But in any event, it was a very successful event. So recently, obviously, I've been extremely disappointed with the election, with Romney's campaign, and talked to a lot of different people about this, and immediately signed the secession petition, and talked a lot about secession, and I think, oh, this is great, we gotta get away from this, and I spent the time to then think about what would be involved in secession. How could this actually happen? And the first state everyone talks about is Texas, and I was stationed in Texas in the Army, and I'm very familiar with Fort Hood, and that it's the largest Army installation on planet Earth, and there's many, many other Air Force and Army bases in Texas. And if you were going to create a powerful enough force to secede from America, you'd have to create a powerful enough army then to kick Fort Hood out of Texas, and that's not going to happen. And you're not going to have your own currency, and you're not going to have your own infrastructure, and none of that is really feasible. So I thought, well, how could you go about actually structuring something that would be feasible? And I've done that, I think, at least a start of that. And I outlined a plan to cover all the needs, what I think are of government, without getting back to square one of having too big of a government. because since the Constitution happened, we now have, for example, electricity. We have the internet. We have iPhones. We have so many things that couldn't have been accounted for in the original Constitution that may not necessarily need government to handle it, but it needs some societal infrastructure to handle it. And to address all those issues in a way that doesn't, like I said, just create another big all-powerful government is quite a daunting challenge. And I've tried to do that, and I've shared what I've written with Robert and a number of other people. And the first response I got was from someone from the group. What was the name of that group that we went to down at the Landry's seafood restaurant there? They have an annual or monthly meeting.
John Birch Society.
Yeah, the John Birch. So they said, look, you know, if and this was just a great criticism of what I had put together. They said, look, if you're so interested, and I'm paraphrasing, in the Constitution and so loyal to America, and they weren't mocking me at all, you know, why secede from all that? You know, if your whole concept is that you're loyal to America and you're loyal to the Constitution, then it's counterproductive to secede from that. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. So I've adopted or adapted our original idea, and I've talked with Robert exhaustively on this, to say, look, this shouldn't really be a secession issue. It should be more of a states' rights issue, and a way for the federal government to just be minimized back to something more like the way it should be, like under the Constitution, but to make it so that the states, or a state, could then try to address all these other issues like healthcare and several other issues, many other issues, transportation, you know, you name it.
We just ignore them, except for defense and whatever they're supposed to do. Is that essentially kind of the nullification concept, you know?
No, I mean, for example, with banking, you know, how could, you know, back in the days of the Constitution, you know, a bank was quite a simpler operation than what banking is nowadays turned into. And if the people's trust is going to be guaranteed in a bank, you can't just have run-amok banking. You can't just say there are not going to be any regulations. This is a free country. You know, Wells Fargo and Bank of America, you can do whatever you want. You know, I can guarantee you what would happen is that most people would lose all their money to the evil corporate banks.
Well, that's what they're doing anyway.
Banks would steal everybody's property.
Yeah, so you see that there's not a simple question once you start to really delve into it. And do you want to just regulate it all just the way it is now?
Nope.
And so there has to be some mechanism of doing that. So I've written something up, and I've shared it with Robert, and it is not a complete document at all. It is just my initial ideas on this type of thing, and it begins to address the issue of secession, because that was my initial knee-jerk, was to say, yeah, let's secede, you know, that's the way to do it. But the truth is we want them to secede. You look at that red-blue map of America and how everyone voted, and except for the big inner cities, the whole thing is red. You know, everyone, the whole country feels the same way we do. You know, it's basically a red country, and there's these big pockets of inner city Democrats, with few exceptions. And I'm from Minnesota, so there's this whole big tip of northeastern Minnesota that's rural, and you wonder, why the heck is that Democrat? It's blue. Well, it is that way because almost everyone up there is a government employee or part of the iron ore mining industry, and they're all union.
Yeah.
So that's an obvious no-brainer explanation for why that rural area is Democrat, but the rest of the entire country is red. So what I've tried to write up is something that all people can embrace, and we can share it. You know, I have it on email format. So that's why Robert invited me, was to try to.
David's gonna be here. David's probably gonna be here any minute, so I wanted to have these out.
Okay.
Thanks, Andy. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Andy.
I wanted to interject on this. I don't know if you listened to Alex Jones said when the alleged secessionist movement, he calls it a reorganization of the Republic movement. You know, I don't know how many people you people listen to it. It's on 7:90 a.m. early in the morning from midnight to 3 and 3 to 6 on most nights. It's Infowars.com, and it's on a 24-hour loop. You can listen to it day or night. He comes to a different conclusion on what we're facing. He says that the psychopathic killers have hijacked our government.
So
We either do something about it, or
Yeah, but I'm worth it.
life as we know it is about to change for everyone in this
I
country.
need all the information.
But he really felt that the establishment media would definitely call anything related to this a secessionist movement. He was encouraging people to phrase it as a reorganization of the republic. It's not, we aren't succeeding. Our form of government has been hijacked and is gone.
Room thing that
And so that's just something that I kind of wanted to say when I heard you say that. And I think secession in the mind of the general public is probably something to stay away from. So I thought that was an excellent idea.
Thanks.
Okay, any other points?
Yeah, you.
If I could make a suggestion on your saying reorganization, we must be very diligent not to allow a constitutional convention
Yeah.
as a reorganization tool.
Not to allow what?
Not to allow a constitution convention.
Yeah, we really, that's a
cannot
very
have
dangerous
that.
thing.
Well,
Very,
what
very
can we
dangerous.
lose?
What can we lose? We can lose our constitution.
Yeah,
We've already lost it.
Well,
yeah, but really.
it's still there. Yes, you're saying we lost it, but what we've lost is our adherence to it.
Yeah,
We have not lost the document
Yeah.
itself. And if we have a constitution convention, it will be the same thing as
I'm not
when
saying
the
I was taking the other side.
Huh?
I'm just asking questions. 'Cause
Well,
I started
I'm
questions.
trying to fill you in.
Okay, go ahead.
Because when the Constitution was originally brought forth, we had a convention because we were governed by the
Articles of Confederation.
Articles of Confederation, and they wanted to change that. Well, in that convention, they threw it out and brought forth our Constitution. So if they have another convention that is attended by members of each state, they could then throw out the Constitution and bring in something else. You know, like to just say something from the UN Constitution, the United Nations, or some such of a thing, because you cannot have a Constitution convention and limit it to any one thing. Like we
Right.
said, we want to have a Constitution convention to enable a balanced budget amendment. No, if you're going to make an amendment, you make an amendment. You don't have a Constitution convention. Thank you.
Yeah. Good to say, good to know.
They're pretty close to having it, don't they? There's only a couple of states short.
Well, they're talking about it, absolutely, and we have to defeat it.
Well, the states should have their own constitutions and states' rights. That's what.
That's right.
That's really, and that is part of the Constitution. So that's in keeping with what you're saying.
Right, that's the 10th Amendment, and the states need to, you know, if they got any balls, is to enforce and get up and say we are going to follow the 10th Amendment,
Yeah.
which our states do have rights.
Well, you know, when your government gets hijacked by a bunch of people, what does the Constitution put out for the people to take it back? I mean, it's written there somewhere. You know, what do we do?
It's the 10th Amendment, states' rights.
You have to nullify in the courts, you
Null-
have to nullify in the
nullification.
legislatures, you have to, everywhere that makes decisions, they have to nullify the crap that's been forced upon them.
But what do we do when the decision makers are, you know, breaking the law? You know, I mean, it's like when you can't get the system to adhere to the Constitution, what do we do?
Cry.
Do
Bob.
this.
But that's what Michigan's done, is they've nullified the NDAA. So that's their act, that's the proper procedure.
Yeah.
Not have a constitution.
And it's going to be interesting, you were talking about the court nullification. What will happen in Oregon and Colorado and Washington with their legalization of hemp.
Oh, yes.
Because that will be taken to court. I mean, immediately, as soon as somebody violates the federal statute, federal government's coming in.
Yes.
Then, but it will be a state
Well,
issue.
I heard last night somebody, I don't know if he had authority to be speaking with a federal title, said that in those two states, a drunk driver or a person abusing alcohol would be more important as a potential offender, crime, and I don't know how that would be a federal offense, but that would be more important to the federal government than the use of marijuana. But
Well,
we may get the other side today from somebody else, and they may do whatever they want, and they just be spreading information or misinformation.
the comparison.
I
of-
agree it will be important to watch what they do.
It's going to be something to keep an eye on, but the comparison of alcohol to marijuana is not a good idea. It's a very bad idea.
They're not apples to apples.
Huh?
It's apples to oranges when
Yeah.
you start into that discussion.
And it's, you know, I don't care what you take, if it affects your ability to think or drive or walk or
Exactly.
make it, you know, it affects your judgment in any way, it's bad. So,
Or if it affects another person negatively.
Well,
right.
if you endanger other people or other people's property,
Yeah,
if you
that's-
do it
and those really
inside
should
the
be the-
confines of your house, I guess you know that you're.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
But
think that the people that
Everybody that smokes gotta be a slave to their own house.
and the people that exit this world from abuse of certain debilitating drugs probably raise the gene pool. I think that's one thing that the federal government does wrong by trying to save everybody. But that's just my
yeah.
How do you notify the
Yeah,
courts?
that's what it is.
What's that? What is that all about?
nullify the court.
Jury nullification.
She said for jury notification.
Right.
How do you
Basically, a
hit
jury
that?
just decides, even though the letter of the law might show the guy's guilty, the jury says that, we're not letting we're just letting you go. Basically, I mean,
most
it's,
people don't realize that they have that right.
Right.
That's true, because
that's where the
the
education
courts
comes
have
in
tried
about
to
nullification.
cover that up. But in the days of the king, they had jury nullification because kings wrote up the laws. And kings could write up a law that was absolutely absurd. So the jury had the right to nullify the law that the king had written.
The judge
And
was
this carried on,
the facts,
Sure, it's really
carried
it's
on
an old
through in
idea.
law.
It predates the United States of America.
Oh,
It does.
But they have destroyed it through the courts creating rules where the defense
They've hidden it from the
defense is
people.
not allowed to
Or someone.
to notify the jury of their rights. In fact, in California, the judge will tell the jury that they cannot judge anything but the evidence. If they judge the law, they instruct them that they should tell on each other so they can kick them out of the jury. So how do you fight that? I know that. Does anybody know what happened in New Hampshire?
No, I don't.
They passed a law, which in June of this year, where it allows the defense to notify the jury of their rights.
Good.
So maybe we should look at the
Look at what they did in New Hampshire to accomplish that.
and maybe start doing it in Nevada.
Yeah.
I actually try to reach the there's an organization called FIJA.
Fiji. Yeah.
FIJA, yeah, it's
Fully informed
Informed Jury Association. I tried to reach the guy who is the Nevada representative because I wanted to find out what the status of that is here. And I called him and I was gonna and I emailed him, but he never emailed me back. He was supposed to find out what the status of that is here, but I'm sure it's just as bad as every other state.
Dodge was a gentleman in Montana or somewhere up.
They have somebody in every state that they can contact. But that's if implemented, that's a good way to put a stop to a lot of these laws.
Absolutely.
People understand they're right. I mean, it's educational, but you could also do it through a law like in New Hampshire, where it allows the defense to actually say what's been taboo for 100 years.
Yeah.
I'm convinced that we need to turn back on the motor neurons for the bulk of society before we can get that done with the general public. That's why I think fluoride is.
And so there we're back to
is-
fluoride again. Yeah,
I think
exactly.
we got to start there.
Start with little things.
And the people that I'm coming
Yeah.
in contact with, I can't find anybody that says, well, that's a bad idea. I mean,
Well, I don't think that's where the problem is. The problem is in the stupid rules and regs that they set up to keep us from accessing the legislature, you know, so.
I don't think that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah,
I think if we get organized after the first of the year and start going to the city council and the county commission and play off of each other and rehearse a presentation that's shown over and over and over again on TV.
Yeah.
I know how that worked when I did the Crazy Horse case for 4.5 years, and I couldn't walk across this parking lot here without somebody coming, oh, are you the guy on TV?
Yeah.
I was thinking that, you know, since Bob is here, maybe he could talk about the thing that we do downtown. Is that if we can for a minute?
He just got off on Buffalo. He'll be here any minute.
Okay. No, I was just saying because, you know, the first of the month we go down, you know, our group goes downtown to work with Bob and his 9/11 Truth thing that he does. I mean, hand out DVDs and stuff. So it's nice to see you, and, you know, we hope that we could see more people come down there and help us out on the first Saturday of the month. It's only about 2 hours. We just go downtown outside of Hennessy's at 4 o'clock. Walk the strip and hand out DVDs. Get yelled at every now and then. It's kind of fun.
Whichever stage is more quieter. But even that there's been a change in that in the, I don't know, the year and a half or so that I've been doing it. There used to be some people that weren't too sure about it and were afraid of it, and now those people are getting increasingly more difficult to find.
Good.
Yeah, I don't know what, you know, the response is usually like. I went for the first time this past Saturday and got a pink t-shirt. It was awesome. So, you know, walking billboard if nothing else, right? So we just encourage everybody to come down the first Saturday at least. And, you know, they're out there every Saturday if you guys want to go, you know. And I can't commit us all to going to every Saturday, but, you know, I'll do everything I can to be there the first Saturday of the month to get our groups working together. So, downtown.
Fremont Experience.
Yeah, it's on at Hennessy's. It's posted on the website too, if you ever need to check it out. But it's out front of Hennessy's on, what is it, Vegas Boulevard in Fremont? Is that what it is? Yeah, we meet there at
5th
4.
Street, Las Vegas Boulevard, and Fremont, where there isn't any street. And then
What time?
4 o'clock on Saturday, first Saturday of the month. And like I said, you can always check out the events page. It should always be posted there. So, and the details of where it's at and everything.
Every Saturday, start out at 4 o'clock by Hennessy's, and then we go into wherever there's like one of the stage areas.
Yeah, because I showed up like the very first Saturday, but you guys weren't there, so I didn't realize you hike.
I've always got 9/11 sign above my head.
And I guess if you just show up, and I don't know, do you bring t-shirts or do you just know I was coming?
Well, I gave it to Bob the week before. He thought you were coming the week before.
Yeah, why didn't you give it to me? Yeah.
What's
You
that?
go down on Las Vegas Boulevard with a 9/11 banner.
Yeah, I'm in front of the Fremont. I'm in front of the federal building every day.
Yeah, and I went down there and I went on. What the hell, you know? It got me off guard. I would have beeped and made some noise, but I went right by it.
And Bob and I were were members of an Occupy group, and they send some people down on Friday. So that'd be a good day if you weren't doing anything on a Friday afternoon in front of the federal courthouse.
You know what's really unique about what Bob's doing, though, is that he's out in the public sphere, you know, at least making a statement to, you know, people that aren't aware necessarily. So, you know, that's something that we really lack at it with, you know, obviously being in, you know, well, you're just standing there is always helpful, you know. So we got to talk to little kids. Like, I have no idea what they were doing down the strip, you know, or whatever, you know, downtown, like being 8 or 10 years old, but
Hey,
come on in.
Hey, David.
Hi, David. We're moving down here and making room for the big guy.